Welcome back to another episode of The High School Hab with your host, Louis Muema. I am always happy to present these podcasts to you, as I say in all my podcasts, because I'm serious about it. For today, we're joined by a beautiful lady, okay, Jennifer Piri. Jennifer, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. So looking at today's topic, it's quite interesting, especially that it has to deal with the feminine species, if that's correct. Jennifer,
Mm,
our topic for
yeah.
today, yeah, our topic for today is the feminine outlook on education. Okay, what do you think about this topic, Jennifer?
Well, I feel it is very sensitive and very influential. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you for that. As
yeah.
I said earlier, it's very interesting, to look at us, like we, the girls, the ladies,
Mm,
okay, and the educational system.
yeah.
So, Jennifer, let's get right into this, okay? The first thing I have to ask you for today is the stigma that females, girls in high
Mm,
school, in university, in primary school also face due to
yeah.
some courses that seem to be not their thing, or some subjects that seem to be not good for the girl child, okay, not easy, so to say. So we have this stigma that surrounds the
Yeah.
feminine education, that okay, girls can only do good in certain subjects and not every other subject, like the math and the science, honestly. um Jennifer, what do you have to say about this?
Well, firstly, I feel it depends on the location, the place where the school is, or the institution rather. So we
Okay.
have from the rural areas and then the urban areas. So basically, it has changed in the urban areas. You find many females taking part in things that are considered to be for the males, and the stigma is not so much as it is in the rural areas, because there it's like the males are strong or supreme, higher than the
Mhm.
females. I feel like they're still a bit behind concerning these issues. So I feel it differs depending on where the institution and the school is.
Nice, nice. That is very interesting. Nice,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
So, up until today,
Hmm.
Jennifer, in some schools, okay, do you think that there's still some subjects, sorry, or courses that are considered to be male, to be, only for the male to tackle, to deal with?
Can you come again?
Okay, I'm saying in relation to some courses, okay, up until today, up until this moment, do you think or
Yeah.
have you had of some courses that are considered, or rather are still considered to be for the male only?
Well, um, to some extent, because we have some courses like mine and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
then we have it's less. Like I said earlier, you find many females taking part in programs like agriculture and engineering and science courses, things that were in math. Actually, you find a lot of females that are taking part in math programs. So I feel like it's less. It depends on the the individuals. It's less of what the society says and the opinions of other people. I feel like the females are after what they want these days. They don't really feel there's something that is not for them and that is for them. And I feel like the society has moved. Like I said earlier, it depends on the place as well. So I
Mhm.
don't really feel there's anything that can be considered for females only and for males only. Although when you look at certain programs, like I said, the mining and the like,
Mm-hmm.
it's very rare for females to go into those programs because they feel they're a little hasty and too much for the females. Yeah.
Nice. I love your response so far. I love it, girl. Okay, Jennifer, can you just tell us a brief history of
Okay, thank you.
your academic experience? Okay, say from high school till university. Can you just give us
Okay.
a brief history of your experience? How is it so far in relation to the feminine outlook on education?
Okay. So from like primary, high schools, it I haven't really faced so much gender issues to say. Um, in high school, I was at a girls' school, and we had two classes that used to have pure sciences. It was what can I say? There was really no gender issues because the females did everything that was there because they were supposed to do it. And we
Nice.
were exposed to things like jet squeeze, jet fairs, and then we were with the guys and the girls, yeah, the guys and the girls, and then we're just working together. You find many of the females were really good at math actually, and then the guys would say, no, we want the female, we want this female to do this, she's really tough in this, and we want this female to do this, she's really good at this.
Mhm.
I really haven't been exposed to any gender issues concerning education because I've always found myself in positions where considered as a female, um like let's say in junior secondary,
Mhm.
the girls used to do really well. I'm sure you remember. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was, yeah, like I haven't really been exposed to so much of that because even in universities, in university at the moment, it's just neutral. It's
Okay.
just neutral, very, very, very less of gender discrimination or stuff like that. Yeah.
Wow, that's really good to hear. A few years back, we were told about this gender inequality in terms of education, especially, and we were taught how, as you said, in certain locations, in certain places, the girls who just drop out of school because they think, okay, this is for the guy. But then
Yeah.
here we are in your situation where you have gone
Yeah.
through school from primary till high school and then university, and this gender issue is not a problem in school. I mean, it is such a relief and a great development, if I can say. So, Jennifer, I have another question for you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's put aside what the society is
Okay.
saying and let's be let's be more realistic. Okay, do you think girls are under
Okay.
more pressure? Do you think girls are under more pressure in school?
Well, as a female, yes. I feel like this pressure is more self
Okay.
influenced. Yeah, it comes from the females themselves. Like in universities and high schools, you'll find girls get to focus more on things that don't really matter, like, okay, so how do I look, um
Hmm.
how does this female next to me look. I feel like these things seem very unreasonable, but they have a
Yeah.
very huge influence on our girls.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
huge influence because they tend to lose focus. They get to focus more on
Hmm.
things that don't matter, and then they forget why they're there and what's really going on. You find females coming from rural areas or from families that are not really financially stable, so they get
Hmm.
forced to do certain things just so that they can feel like they fit in this new society or in this new environment. Because in school, in high school, in primary here in Zambia, we wear uniforms,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
all look the same.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go to universities, you get to pick your own clothes. You get to look however you want. This social type of status grouping, and certain
Mm-hmm.
ladies get to feel like, oh, maybe I do not fit in. Maybe I'm not supposed to be here. Maybe I'm supposed to do certain things seen unreasonable, but it has a really huge influence on our girls. And
Yeah.
also, as a female, you get to have these menstrual cycles, healthy issues.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for females to have to handle those moments and then focus on school,
Mm-hmm.
especially for the young girls.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Honestly, I didn't enjoy those days, especially in school in the lower grades. Yeah, I really didn't enjoy those moments. Sometimes I would stay home instead of going to school because I would feel
Mm-hmm.
really uncomfortable. Find I would miss
Mm-hmm.
out on a lot of things. So I feel like these
Mm-hmm.
issues of the biology and the self concept, self esteem, all these pressures are put on the females. And then the society, yeah, the society
Okay, she seems to have a little problem with her internet connection.
you said far from the society, but also the society has its own influences.
Okay. Thank you for that. You were a little cranky, but I believe you got that. You've mentioned how the society too has its influences on the education of a girl child, which is
Yeah,
very, very, very true. Now, Jennifer,
yeah.
during this COVID-19 pandemic, okay, we have read the news,
Okay.
we have seen the news that is saying so many girls have fallen pregnant through this period, okay? I mean, we're staying back home and doing nothing, and now so many of our girls in the rural areas have fallen pregnant, during this pandemic. I want to ask you something. How does education play its role in such a situation?
Okay. Honestly, I don't really think it's only the females in the rural areas, because even in the urban areas, for example, in universities, most
Mm-hmm,
of the females are home and they are not doing anything.
mm-hmm,
So you find that by the time we'll be going back to schools and everything, there will be so many females that are pregnant.
yeah,
So I feel like education keeps females busy. It keeps them busy in a positive way. Instead of thinking about, okay, so who am I going to see? What am I going to do?
mm-hmm,
This and that. They get to focus on the pressures of school. They get to focus on homework, maybe assignments or stuff like that. So I feel like the females being home has made them very vulnerable to falling pregnant and the like. So this COVID issue has really they are losing it. They are really losing it. And it's so sad that you find that most of the girls in the rural areas are young. They are very young and they're maybe in primary or high school and stuff like that. And it's really hard for females in such areas to just get back up and get back into school, because usually you find their parents just push them to marriage and stuff like that. So it's really sad and it's not good. I feel like
yeah.
education really keeps the girls focused and on track. Yeah.
Wow, that was well articulated, Jennifer. Wow, it's a thumbs up for you from me.
Thank you.
Okay, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
So, I have one last question, Jennifer, before we end our podcast. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So the question is, how do you think the educational system should be changed to favor the female or feminine education?
Well, they have, I feel like we have enough policies that have tried to to put strategies in place for the females, like the passing rate and stuff like that. So I feel like they should also try to incorporate more of just to remind them or to tell them that it's better to do things this way than that other way. So maybe they should just try to incorporate more of moral education,
Okay.
not only for the girls but for the male species too. More education should
Word.
be also considered, highly considered, because you can teach them science. Yeah, English. You can teach them how to abstain from sex. You can teach them what happens when you have unprotected sex and stuff. But moral education is very important. Moral uprightness. Yeah, I feel that also should be considered for the females and for the males too. But yeah.
Wow. This has been one amazing podcast. I am so happy that we had Jennifer on board today talking about the feminine
Thank
outlook
you.
on education. Jennifer, your replies have been well articulated. There's nothing better I can say about it. And we're so happy to have hosted
Thank
you
you.
today, Jennifer. So before we leave, JJ, do you have anything you would like to say to people listening to you today? Absolutely anything.
Okay, so I would love to speak to my girls, ladies, females. I feel like your well-being and your education should be um your own, it should be pushed by your own drive. Don't depend on other people to put certain things in place for you. I feel like when it comes from within you, if you really want to be educated, even if situations come that might draw you or draw your attention away from education, you will find yourself getting back on track because you know what you want and you know where you want to be. So we can have strategies, we can have policies, we can have programs for females, we can have things that support you, that make lives easier for you. But if you do not focus and if you are not willing, you will always find yourselves being vulnerable or dropping out or just going out of track. Yeah, so I feel like females should focus. It should start from them. They should want this, they should focus on them and their education, because that way it is easier for them to be on track and to get to where they want to be and their goals achieved and the like. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Jennifer, thank you so much for today. And to the audience out there, thank you so much for being a part of our podcast today. Again, we looked at the topic, the feminine outlook on
Anytime.
education, and it has been a pleasure. It has been a pleasure to spend this time with Jennifer. Jennifer, and to those out there, we have come to the end of our podcast for today. To our subscribers, to our people
So,
listening to the podcast, please take this into account. Remember, it is your own education you're looking at. It is up to you to make the best out of it. It starts with self-will. That is your will, and we cannot put self-will in you. So get up today, not tomorrow, today, and begin to aim at the best for your life, for your education, okay? Jennifer, again, thank you so much for being a part of our podcast for
mm,
today.
Anytime, anytime.
Okay, so it is a goodbye from me, Louis, your host, and from Jennifer, and we're done for today. Goodbye, and thank you.